So with that in mind, I'm going to start looking through the Q&A thread. I already know I have a DM. I will get to you in a moment with your questions. But some of the first questions I've seen sort of as I was sitting here waiting for the start time. Does the CSI morph get access to the Manticore baton? I'm not a chief superintendent. Sug might know. I'm pretty sure CSIs get access to the Manticore morphs because they are in the Manticore group. So
They
technically they
do.
do. Okay,
The
so they
morph
do have
has
access to the
the.
baton. Someone asked, is spawn camping allowed? And the TNI in the guidelines it states MPs may use their power to resolve these situations, such as TNI camping or spawn. But in the Manticore self-exam, things say you may spawn camp. So the self-exam does need to be updated a bit in regards to the new border map. Obviously, we haven't gotten to updating everything, but I would say you may not spawn camp. I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but whatever. There's a vote in TNI right now going on to restricting TNI to not going past the main gate. You didn't hear that from me, but that will essentially get rid of spawn camping as well. So you will be able to go back and enforce that rule.
I want to add whatever the Manticore self-evaluation exam says. If the MP guidelines say otherwise, then the guidelines are correct and the self-evaluation exam is incorrect. If you spot anything that's incorrect, please tell us so we can update it as fast as possible. Thank you.
Another question is, what would you say to a sergeant who wants to be a Manticore? Do you think I, as a player who is not a native English speaker, can be in the subdivision? So Manticore, obviously, we do expect, you need to have a proficient grasp of the English language, at least English grammar. That being said, just because you don't like speak English as your first language doesn't mean you can't get in. We have a lot of people, from all over the world, Oceanic, European, all that, who speak a variety of languages and don't necessarily use English as their first language. So I would say, don't let language be a barrier to having you pursue Manticore. As long as you've got a strong understanding, which I'm assuming you do, you're a sergeant in MP, you've obviously gone quite a bit, got far quite a bit within Manticore, military police. Sorry, I don't know why I'm not thinking right now. I would say don't let language get in your way. Someone did DM me, so I'm going to quickly hit that question. The question was, for the purpose, what is the purpose of Manticore? So Manticore, what I can tell you is pretty much that our mission is to ensure that the military police is meeting the standards set by the chief administration through any means necessary. If you want more information on that, you can check out our public guidelines. But essentially, our goal is to make sure the chief administration's expectations of the entire division are being met. So you can interpret that as you will. Question 2, if someone wants to get into Manticore, what would you recommend they do? So that's a good question. A lot of people ask me that question a lot. There's a lot you can do to get into Manticore. The first, sort of most obvious, is through an observational tryout. Obviously, per the name, it's an observational tryout. It's not a pass or fail. But I will say, if you attend observational tryouts regularly when they're hosted, it shows us that you're interested, and it sort of helps us pick out who we're going to start watching. If you want to get into Manticore, but you don't express any interest by attending Manticore events, it's very hard for us to know that you want to be in Manticore. And so we might not, know that you want to get in, and so we might not give you as much attention, especially when we see you at Manticore events. As you attend more Manticore events over time, for instance, attending the Manticore Q&A, attending quality assurance trainings, supervised patrols with Manticore, all of that will definitely get you noticed as well. So I would say the best way for you to get noticed is to attend Manticore public events. That's sort of how we figure out, oh, this person's interested, they're making the effort to attend, how can we continue to look at them?
And
Other
fill out the
ways,
Manticore interest form.
yeah, there is the Manticore interest form that is in our public guidelines, I believe. If you fill that out, it sort of
It
lets us
is.
know, hey, I'm interested, and we will definitely, take a look at you, watch you at the border, that sort of stuff. So hopefully that answers your question. Someone else DM me a question. Their question is, how could I get noticed for Manticore, and how could I prove my awareness, and so on. So I sort of just answered that. Again, attend Manticore events, at least the public ones. Other ways is, how could I improve my awareness, and so on. Simulation trainings might be a cliche answer, might be not the best answer. Some people find simulation trainings boring, whatever. I recommend simulation trainings a lot. Those will definitely boost your awareness. Another way would just be attend a lot of mass patrols. Look for rebel raids or for servers with high citizen traffic. That is really going to test your awareness. If you have a lot going on in front of you, your awareness over time will obviously improve as you continue to put yourself in those high stress situations, high risk. Another way, I did forget to mention this earlier, another way you could get mentioned is if you see a Manticore member online, you go patrol with them. You can ask for feedback. I'm sure if you ask them before, hey, could you watch me how I perform and offer me feedback when my patrol's over, I assure you the Manticore member will be more than happy to do that for you. So don't be afraid if you see one of us at the border and you're patrolling an MP morph, hey, can you help me out? Watch how I do and give me feedback. We will definitely give you that feedback. Someone in the thread asked, what about the food and beverage and morph? I've seen people discuss about there's a rule about against it in 5.0. I believe that rule still stands. If you check the guideline updates, I believe it still says that you may not hold food items, spray cans, or firefly jars in morph. I think that applies regardless of the border version. So, which equipment does Manticore have, excluding baton? If you check, we do have the baton, shields. We do have, if I recall, a buffed MK14, a buffed USP or USP pistol, I think is how you say it. And then for certain other morphs, the shield health is buffed, and you also have sort of a buffed like this. What is it? The MP7, a buffed MP7. So lots of stuff. Cool green. So yeah, am I allowed to switch to? Someone else asked, am I allowed to switch to the MP morph while off duty? And seeing rules being broken and not doing anything against it. So yes, if you are off duty and you see rules being broken, go ahead, switch to MP morph. You may not take action. So for instance, if I'm a citizen, I see a TNI commit murder, I cannot switch to my MP morph and arrest that TNI. Just you think about it, you're switching. It's just the rule. You can't really punish for that. Now, if you are in MP morph and you see someone commit murder, obviously you can take care of that. But if you are on the off-duty citizen team and you see someone commit murder, you may not switch and then suddenly arrest. But I would definitely recommend if you're on the citizen team, you see cadets misbehaving, definitely switch morphs and start enforcing the border. I know some of you don't, some of you do. If you want to get notice from Manticore, if you see a Manticore member there, being off duty when there's a lot of citizen traffic doesn't necessarily help your chance of getting in. It doesn't hurt you, but if you put yourself out there, you will definitely notice that. What are the stats of those buffed weapons? I don't have them on hand at the moment, but I was using the buffed MK the other day, and it sort of melted the assassin, so it was pretty good. And the buffed MP7 has a higher rate of fire. I think a little bit lower damage, but definitely a high fire rate. What equipment does the Sphinx morph have? It has the baton, some shields, some buffed weapons, MKs, and that sort of stuff. What other questions do we have? And remember, they don't always have to be about Manticore. It can be about anything in MP. I am always happy to answer really just general questions that you might have. I see two of you are typing. Let me get a drink of water. And for those who are in endless, and that sort of stuff, remember, if you don't want to DM me, you can also just ping me in guest help or what is it? Endless chat. Is there slightly more chance to become Manticore with excellent aim? So yes and no. We are not a combat-based subdivision, so combat will not affect your chances of getting in. That being said, if you can hit your taser shots, that may help you. I'll just say that now you're not an effective MP if you miss your taser shots. Like say we've got, I don't know, a citizen. Sorry, my bad, a citizen, and you miss like 5 taser shots. Obviously, that's a problem with the execution and of your duties. It's just at that rate offering more of a chance for people to break rules, you to miss things, and it's just ineffective. So while excellent aim might not, not having excellent aim isn't going to hurt you. If you can hit your taser shots within the first to second shot, I would say that would go to help you. We're looking for people who are able to utilize their tools that they're given at a high level. If cuffs are fully broken on the server, do we just keep killing instead of arresting? Yes. So if cuffs are broken, you can just kill them. That's the best sort of way to switch to it. There's not much you can do about cuffs being broken, so. I've had some confusion about who is trusted on the citizen team. I believe it is not clearly stated anywhere. Who is trusted on the citizen team? As far as I'm concerned, the only people trusted on citizen team should be IPC agents. Everyone else needs to be in morph. Admirals, I believe. Well, the administration is obviously trusted in citizen team because they are the administration. Other than that, I don't really know if there's anyone else. Everyone else typically needs to be in morph for them to be considered a trusted individual. Yeah, arch admirals, not admirals. Someone asked, why does EEs take 3 to 4 hours to host? They're long. There's a lot of, I can say as a former inspector, 3-time inspector, they're just, there's a lot of paperwork, a lot of involved stuff to do with it. And there's a lot they need to test you on. And I know it can be inconveniencing for you analysts, but right now they really haven't found a better way to host EEs. So, it depends on the host as well. Some hosts are quicker about it than others, but I couldn't give you a solid, like, clear night and day answer as to why it takes forever. It's just they're not always the most enjoyable event to host, and they take a while. Will being in the officer corps increase your chances of getting into Manticore? So we do a holistic review when we look at people, Manticore candidates. Being in the officer corps will only go to benefit you. Not being in the officer corps will, like, it's not going to hurt you if you're not in the officer corps. If you are in the officer corps, it sort of lets us know, hey, you've passed the constabulary or whatever you've done if you've gone the accelerated track. It shows that, you're competent, you're able to do things. So yes, it will benefit you. It won't necessarily mean you automatically get into Manticore if we notice you. Obviously, there's a lot more to consider than just your rank in the group, but it will benefit you. If you're not in the officer corps, obviously it won't help you, but it's not going to hurt you. So pretty much being involved in other areas of MP will only go to benefit you as we look for Manticore. Will joining Cerberus increase your chances of getting into Manticore? Sort of what I just said. Again, Cerberus, elite subdivision, we know they have high standards, so obviously if we're starting to consider you for Manticore, we're going to know that you hold yourself to a higher standard, you're able to execute and perform under pressure. So again, it will benefit you. If you're not in Cerberus, it will not hurt you that you're not in Cerberus. Is there a member limit for Manticore? Yes, we can only have 50 operatives at any given time. That's not including officers. Let's see. What does Manticore actually do? A bit more detailed answer because people don't know what they're signing up for. Just intelligence, yada yada yada. Well, I will answer this in VC and then let me make a mental note to answer him in the chat at some point. Or if someone wants to do that as well for me, that would be great. Pretty much, we, as I've already stated, we ensure that the chief administration's expectations in the division are set, or like met. So you can interpret that as you will. But to sort of give you an idea of what people are signing up for, the quota for Manticore on a weekly basis is about 2 to 3 hours. It can be defined as paperwork. It's not always paperwork. It's a mix. You got paperwork, some other stuff. But that is sort of what we do. I can't really say a lot, obviously, because our duties are naturally classified. But we work with in joint with the chief administration, senior administration to make sure stuff in MP is being met. So making sure that the guidelines, the expectations, the golden parameters, and they aren't being broken. Is the Manticore quota hours 2 to 3 hours a week? What does this quota consist of? The public part, anyway. As I just said, Urbi, it's a mix of paperwork. There's going to be some work in game, some work in Discord. It's an even mix, I would say. Will being a Manticore decrease your OC quota? Unfortunately not. It would just be an additional responsibility. Is there some good aim training game that you use? There's like multiple games out there. I couldn't give you one that I use. I sort of jump around. I sometimes use Zombie Aim Trainer. Sometimes I just go to Thelt Grounds. There's some good Roblox games. I will send you. I will just. I don't know. I'll send one of them in here. I think it's a zombie aim trainer game. This is where I first started ever sort of working on my aim trainer. Let's see. But I would ask, ask Cerberus. They probably have some good games out there, or anyone in general who tends to try. But that is a game that I first ever started doing stuff on. Good questions, everyone, so far. Good questions. Duh, duh, duh. Oh. Okay. What Manticore ranks can invite potential members into the subdivision? That's going to be your Manticore command team. So that's going to be about Zealot up, Kaiden up. Um, Typically, when we look to invite people to Manticore, it's a collective decision of the entire command, and then one person who is delegated will send the actual invitation. But it's a collective decision of everyone in the Manticore command. Someone else asked, why are Manticore's duties classified? Just because if you sort of knew our duties, it would defeat the purpose of what we do. I'm trying to find a good analogy to sort of explain. I guess it's like this, if you think about it like the CIA, nobody really knows what they do. Right? There's some rumors about that, and I'm using an American analogy. I don't, I don't know any other sort of foreign intelligence agencies, but if we took the CIA, for example, and if everybody knew what the CIA did, you would know what to look for, how to sort of, you know, I don't know how to say this without leaking our duties, but you would know what to expect from the CIA, and then you would be able to adjust how you do things. Um, so in a sense, if you knew what we did and how we did it, it would defeat the purpose of us existing. Is the MOT still your Manticore observational tryout still your best chance of getting into Manticore? I would say yes. Generally speaking, I know we haven't hosted any of those in a bit, but yes, that would be the best way to get in. And of course, the second best way is just to attend any public Manticore event, quality assurance trainings, yada yada. All of those are good ways as well. We take notes. We're looking for the higher performing MPs at all these events. Do you have an application to do after being invited into Manticore? So the entrance process is sort of classified. Um, yeah, I think that's all I can say for now. Oh, well, in the public guidelines here, let me go over what the public guidelines say. I don't know, I can't say too much, but um, upon sort of being selected for Manticore, you will be sent this like test. It's pretty much just to make sure you know your stuff. It's difficult, because well, it's difficult, but it's definitely passable if you know what you're doing, if you have a strong understanding of the guidelines. How difficult is it to rank up in Manticore? I would say, on average, if you're pretty ambitious, you could probably rank up every other week, at least do the first like 3 ranks, and then it gets a little bit more difficult just as you add more responsibilities, as we look more for like senior members within Manticore. It's going to get a little bit more difficult, but I'd say upon getting into Manticore and reaching the rank of cadet, you could probably jump to operative in about a month. So that's what you get to agent and you get to operative in a month, maybe senior operative, but you'll probably be to operative in about a month, assuming you do your quotas, stay on top of things. So if for some reason you failed the exam, do you get removed from Manticore? And if you do, is it possible of getting into Manticore again? So the exam is what we give to selected candidates. You're not in Manticore yet. You need to pass that exam to get into Manticore. So if you fail that exam, you won't necessarily get into Manticore that time, but it doesn't mean you can't in the future. Just because you fail once, obviously it doesn't define everything. So I would say just because you fail, don't worry about it. There will always be a second chance. Just keep attending Manticore events, putting yourself out there. How high is the failure rate from probationary member to the cadet process? Generally speaking, the people we let in as a probationary cadet, just by looking at them, how we select our candidates and how we look at the test scores, it's a pretty high, low fail rate, So it's a high pass rate, just because those that we let in are usually pretty motivated, pretty gung-ho, you know. So I would say if you do eventually get to the probationary member phase, generally speaking, we know that you're very dedicated, you're very interested, you want to get in. So usually the fail rate is very low. We have had obviously a few fail, but I would say a majority of the time they pass. Does your quota change for each non-officer rank? So not for each non-officer rank. I would say your quota, as you progress through the ranks, gets a little bit more bearable. So as you rank up, it gets a little bit smaller. Not too much, but it gets a little bit smaller. Obviously, as a perk of ranking up, you've put in the work. Obviously, we're gonna start, rewarding you with a slightly smaller quota. So instead of taking like 3 hours, it might take, only an hour, 2 hours a week. If someone has an active warning and they break a rule again, but you have no idea if they were punished or died in the time between the first warning, can you just arrest, or do you have to be 100% sure they weren't punished? A superintendent told me I should just arrest. I have no idea why exactly, so I'd appreciate an explanation if this is true. So here's the thing: if somebody has an active warning in chat, and they break said rule again, you should arrest them. You might not know if they were punished, but unless somebody in the chat has made it clear, hey, person X has been punished for this, it's not your fault. You should be going off of the information you have. If your teammate failed to communicate and you didn't see the person get punished, you are free to, of course, act on the information you have. You won't be punished for doing your job. Always remember that. You're going off of what you know. It's not your fault if, say, I didn't tell you that the person was arrested for doing it again. So, they've got this thing. If you didn't see it, it didn't happen. But at this rate, if you see the logged warning and you didn't see them get punished, they didn't get punished. Punish them yourself. And then if they go and say, hey, I already got punished, yada yada yada, you can go to your team and be like, hey, this person was already punished. What happened? Why didn't anybody tell me? And if they misconduct you, you can just explain that. And I'm sure the Justice Committee will be understanding. So yeah, somebody has. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if that wasn't. Somebody asked a question: what if there was a high command for royal guards? What is the point of Manticore? So the high command and the royal guard don't do what Manticore does. To be some, like, at face value, we don't do the same thing. The high command, we run focuses, we do a lot of paperwork, but we don't really do MP stuff, unless of course we're involved in MP, like the division or the director generals. Generally speaking, though, just because you've got a high command and 4 royal guards in a server, it doesn't mean that Manticore's duties are being done. And in fact, they aren't. The high command royal guards, the high command member, I don't know what the heck they're going to be doing, but the royal guards are there to protect. They're not there to do what Manticore's doing. Why was Manticore disbanded? Pretty much what we did was taken over by another part of the group, and we were irrelevant. It was a waste of resources, according to the chief administration. I don't know. I don't like calling humans resources, but pretty much that's what they saw. Can an MP officer bypass the normal way into Manticore officer? Oh, can an MP officer bypass into the Manticore officer corps? No. There is currently no way for MP officers to bypass into the Manticore officer corps. Just because of the nature of our duties and sort of the nature of the subdivision, it doesn't make sense to allow someone who has no sort of background in Manticore to suddenly become an officer. I know there's something for like Serb and all of that, but Manticore's duties are very different than that of Cerberus's. So. And if I'm like not fully answering your question or if you're still confused, just let me know. I can do my best to keep explaining. Would you say that completing your quota is hard or menial? I would say that's a good question for Imperial Advisor, just because there's differences again in quotas. Obviously, it's a Kaidan versus a senior operative. There's going to be different duties, obviously. I would say generally, I don't think it's very hard. I think it's just you need to be able. You can't fall behind on your quota. Let me just say that. The thing with Manticore is if you fall behind, you're screwed. So doing a little bit every day, that's sort of how you get there. You said a few minutes ago a Royal Guard was doing the job of Manticore. I'm not sure that was true, just because Royal Guards don't necessarily know the job of Manticore. I'm confused on what you're referring to. You might be referring. Royal Guards can enforce TNI rules and act like they have the ability to enforce rules. But I do not believe they were doing the job of a Manticore. It's military police's job to enforce rules at the border. Royal Guards can assist in that as well. So I'm sort of confused on what you're trying to get at. You might be referring, I don't know, to me, just because I was swapping between morphs earlier today, but Royal Guards do not do the job of Manticore. I can definitely tell you that. Is there a combative pathway into Manticore? Unfortunately not. As I've already said, we are not a combat-based subdivision. Does Manticore have a 3 quota / G strike, and you're out, or is it less? We operate in strikes. I think I can say that. We also can give out disciplinary strikes to members if necessary, but it's a case-by-case basis, I would say. What other questions, comments, concerns do we have? Good questions, by the way, everyone. Good questions. Lots of stuff, lots of informational stuff. Hopefully this has been helpful thus far. Again, if you have questions, don't be afraid to ask. I am happy to respond. This is probably the best chance you will have to sort of get stuff cleared up, just because help chat works. Definitely go to help chat. Manticore members are there, but I do know sometimes it can be confusing in help chat just by watching it. So this is a good chance. If you've got anything like pressing, we can clear it up now. What does the probationary role do? Pretty much, this is like the entrance rank into Manticore. We're just going to be observing how well you do in terms of getting Manticore quota work done, how you continue to act, how you continue to perform, and then if you meet the expectations that we set, you get promoted to full cadet. It's like a probationary cadet, pretty much. Are all notes from OTs, QATs, observe patrols, etc., taken into consideration when someone is up for vote? Yes. When we're looking at a Manticore candidate, as I said, we give it a holistic approach. So we look at everything that we know about you. We will look at all of the notes we have from the times you've come to Manticore events. So we take everything into account. We know a lot about everyone. Can I tase a person who is standing too close to the red line? He's in the gray area. So yes, no, technically not. If they're touching the red line, yes. If they're sort of blocking the passport line, yes, you can block them, tase them, tell them to get out of the way. But if they're standing like right there next to like that clear fence thing, they're close to the red line, they're not on it, you really can't tase them. So what happens if you get punished for something on the border by a non-Manticore member while in Manticore? Punished for something on MP members can't punish Manticore members. Manticore members do technically have the privilege to, take action against normal MP members, but I'm pretty sure that, yeah, unless the body part is touching the red line or they're obviously blocking the passport, line without a passport, you really can't tase them, or unless they have contraband, whatever. What happens if you get okay? Trinity, pretty much Manticore members can't be punished by MP members. If they're getting punished by like a captain or something, we will obviously hear about that and we will take care of that internally. You get kicked out of Manticore for false evidence, etc. No, I would say if the evidence is false, you won't be kicked out. We're pretty good about looking at things. We take misconduct reports against Manticore members seriously. We dig deep into it. If somebody is forging evidence or taking evidence out of context, we will know. We will figure it out. So yeah, you won't be kicked out for like somebody submitting a video, Photoshop video of you for some reason, like attacking a citizen for no reason. So MP, Officer Corps members, or JC members can't punish Manticore for making a mistake on the border. Oh, so that's what you're asking. So it's important, I guess, to define what a mistake is. But that's semantics for another time. MP, Officer Corps members, or JC members, technically, what you should do is report it to the Manticore administration. That's sort of how you're supposed to take care of Manticore members. You really shouldn't be, if I see a Manticore member, tase a citizen for no apparent reason, I don't think I would take, you could take action if you wanted to if you're an officer, but again, it's easier simply just to report it to the Manticore administration because you might not know the full story. So yeah. If a citizen stands in a box, not box 1 or 2, say example box 5, and doesn't block citizen traffic, do we still have to take action, or is it fine to just let them stand there as it doesn't block anything? As far as I'm concerned, the rule is if they're in a passport box, any passport box, if they don't have their passport out, they need to be out of that box. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that if they're in the line, regardless of their spot, if they don't have like their passport out and they're just standing there, they should not be there. That is my understanding of the rule. If border band mobs, lieutenants, divisional officers allowed to are they allowed to reset an individual who has taser glitch, not being able to be tased again? So if there's like a TNI member who is arcane and I can't tase them, yeah, I could ask a lieutenant to reset to respawn them, and maybe then I can tase them the next time they do it. That taser glitch is unfortunately annoying at times. Worst case scenario, you just need to get a border ban mod, someone to help respawn, kick them from the game. Worst case scenario, ban, server ban. So if you can't take care of it yourself, get a lieutenant or sub-lieutenant. Speaking of which, second lieutenants can kick now. Where are Manticores standing in the hierarchy? Manticore are above MPs, but below officers. They outrank. Well, I mean, it's not public, but it's generally speaking. Manticore members have authority if, worst case scenario, they need to order some of you around at the border to do certain things. They have the ability to. At least I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yeah, that is the case. You can sort of tell just if you look at the public guidelines. No, it's not leaking. If you look at the public guidelines, Manticore members are permitted to incapacitate MPs and issue warnings as they deem necessary. Additionally, Manticore has the authority to issue instructions to military police and position themselves based on the operative's discretion. Seeing how this is in the public guidelines, it can be inferred that they have, on the hierarchy, they are allowed to be above regular MPs, just based on that part alone. Yeah, and you can look at this, I cite this part from the public guidelines. If I'm attending a border patrol in a different morph, such as combat engineer, and someone is constantly jumping up at the stage after the host told them to get off, could I swap to MP morph and punish? You could swap to the MP morph. It's sort of the same thing with a citizen situation. If you're on the citizen team and you see an TNI arcane someone, you can't switch morphs, come back and punish them. Now, if you switch morphs, come back and they do it again, then you can punish them. So yes, in a sense, if you are in a border patrol, someone is jumping on the stage, and you're in the CE morph, you can switch to the MP morph, and the next time they jump on the stage, you can, take action against them, but you can't immediately go for it. You got to see them do it again. It's pretty much like, I guess to explain it, you have to pretend that you weren't in the game. So if I'm on the Citizen team and I switch to the TNI team, it's like everything resets. I didn't see any of those TNI RK, so I can't take any action. Yeah, you can ask any questions not pertaining, like, it doesn't have to be just about Manticore for this Q&A. I'm just going to specify that again. If you have any questions about MP in general, or TNI for that matter, I mean, this is your time. Why did you resign as an admiral and come back? Oh, that's a good question. I resigned originally because I was going to take a nice break. Personal. I thought my life was going to be a lot more busy than it was, but I had more time than I expected, and the administration needed someone to help them run progression. And considering that was my previous position, it worked out. Who possesses taser immunity? As far as I'm concerned, it depends on the morph. I know Manticore Senior Command has taser immunity. Royal Guards have taser immunity. High Command has taser immunity. Officers do not have taser immunity. I think Cerberus have taser immunity. I'm pretty sure. And then MP officers might have taser immunity as well. It's hard because I don't have access to all the morphs, so I couldn't tell you for sure which morphs have taser immunity, which ones don't. I can just go based off the ones I have. The MP OC does not. All right. Good questions. This has been productive Q&A. I hope this has been helpful. Again, if I'm not answering your question fully, don't be afraid to sort of clarify, because I know there might be times when I miss a section or something. Oh, sorry. Will going exempt harmfully affect getting notice to Manticore due to not being active for a bit? I think we'll be able to figure it out ourselves to know if you suddenly had something come up. I don't think it will hurt you. Uh-oh. There's a Waterloo vent I did today. Oh, crud. You guys don't know, I am like... Okay, I can't do that because that's advertising, but there's something for another Roblox game that suddenly I am being summoned for. What the heck? Why can nobody deal with this? I have to deal with this? Oh my gosh, so dumb. Oh well. Okay. I can keep answering questions while I deal with this. Sure, can I get the code? Any other questions, comments, concerns for your life? Oh, I have to join TeamSpeak too? Oh. Who's leading 23rd today? All right, if nobody else has it, I think I just answered that. That going exempt. I don't think it will harmfully hurt you. What do I do as an admiral? I do a lot of things. Currently, I run the Justice Committee, the Competency Committee, the Progression Focus, and the Imperial Archivists. I do a lot. It depends, really. Right now, I don't understand why I'm not entitled, but it's probably just because I'm the only Progression General they have right now. So yeah. Let's say you patrolled with a Manticore member and not an officer or administrator, but you get feedback. So pretty much Manticore members, if you ask them to give you feedback, they will give you feedback. Will it get passed up to the Manticore High Command? We might hear about it. We might hear, someone might say, oh, this person did well. We might hear about it. Have you ever felt stressed out because of Manticore? Personally, I have not. And I think a lot of what comes with MPs being stressed at the border is they're sort of unconfident in their duties. I would say as you grow as an MP and continue to become more and more comfortable with what you're doing, your confidence will grow a lot more, and you won't be as stressed to be an MP. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's hard for one Manticore. If there's like 6 of you at the board, it's gonna be hard for one Manticore operative to hand out your information, but we can do our best. Why can't we punish CEs abusing forts as it hinders us from our duties? So the issue is ultimately it's not our responsibility to enforce another division's rules. We're supposed to enforce TNI's rules, the TNI guidelines, not necessarily CE's guidelines. That's sort of what the administration has set down upon us. So that's at least as far as I know. Sog might have more insight on that. So I need general ports. Okie dokie. Oh yes, supervised patrols. If you don't know, we have introduced a new type of event that you've probably seen shouted occasionally once or twice. It's called a supervised patrol. What it does is pretty much you get to patrol at the border, and there's a bunch of MPs there. And essentially what they're gonna do is watch you patrol. And then at the end, we offer tons of feedback for you all, which is hopefully to help you guys learn royal goats. Royal. How do you spell royal? Oh, there we go. Yeah. Oh, yes. But you can pretty much observe patrols versus supervised patrols. Observe patrols, that's what I meant to say. They're there to provide instant feedback. Observe patrols are en masse, so there's like 6 of you in the server. We will provide feedback for all of you. Supervised patrols, this is pretty much we're going to be following you around, and the second you do something, we will have feedback for you. It's to provide instant feedback while you're at the border and hopefully help you out. Sorry, one sec. I'm trying to figure out how to do this. I don't understand why people can't do stuff for me. What do we call it? The 23rd Royal Goats. Okay, create company. No, that won't let me. Oh, no, there we go. Okay. Sorry. I don't understand why people can do things for me. Is there a Manticore event where we can be told our overall Manticore notes? Yes. That can be a quality assurance training. That can also be a supervised patrol and observed patrol. Let me get a code. Flag. First Division, 23rd. Center Company. Access. Caps, not caps. Audit, no audit. Okay. Unfortunately, I need to go deal with this thing. I don't understand why people can't deal with it themselves. But Sug will be taking over. Hopefully this has been helpful for you guys so far. And hopefully, I know Sug will be able to answer your questions, probably a lot more in depth than I can. But hopefully he's able to help answer your questions. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all soon.
Okay, so hi. Code Tropic asked, even though they might not have a root within the Manticore command of new members, can standard Manticore recommend potential probationary members? Yes, they have the ability to propose potential members, but the command will like take these suggestions lightly, and they won't like if you get if you're proposed as a probationary member by a command member, it's different than if it comes from a normal member of Manticore. Hammers asked, are there any plans to create new type of events for Manticore? We've recently published 2 new event types, that being Observed Patrol or short OP, or Supervised Patrols, short SP. Observed Patrols, to answer another question, they are hosted by Elite, our officer rank within Manticore. There will be a lot of Manticore and a lot of other MPs patrolling at the same time. Feedback will be gathered throughout the patrol. You will conduct your duties on your own. You won't get any instructions. And at the end, you can ask for feedback based on the real life border, on real situations. Supervised patrols are supposed to be one MP with one Manticore. They will patrol with you and they will give you instant feedback based on real situations at the border. And yeah, they will give you tips and tricks and hopefully give you a confidence boost in how to be a good MP. Yeah, Trinity asked, Manticore can arrest MPs, correct? And if so, do they misconduct the MP after arresting them, or do they just warn them? Usually, if it comes to an arrest, it's quite severe, because before Manticore tases an MP, they should give a verbal warning. So, like, if it comes to an arrest, it has been 2 warnings already been given. So, a report will most likely follow. Is there any? Glaive already answered that. Yeah, for SPs, well, SPs have one Manticore assigned to each MP. Kind of. Manticores will occasionally ask an officer on an on topic if anyone wants to patrol with them, and you can DM them, maybe even schedule time if you don't have time at the moment, and then you can just patrol with them. Does a Manticore or just anyone giving you a good conduct increase your chances? Getting good conduct or any kind of recognition does increase your chances to get into the subdivision. We take many different factors into consideration before we introduce someone. And yeah, it doesn't really matter who gives the good conduct as long as the reasoning is good and it's not just doing your standard expectations. Like, to get into Manticore, you should exceed our expectations. You shouldn't just do the bare minimum. Are there any other questions? Yes, Manticore focuses on feedback or on quality within the MP morph or within the MP's division. There's not much sense if you patrol in TNI morph or any other morph. We want to give you feedback on how to be a good MP. So you should be an MP morph. There was once a Manticore in-game and they kept following, not sure who it was. Asked them if I was doing good and they said I couldn't answer that question. Any reason for that? I don't know why they said that. I honestly don't know. Could be anything, but no specific reason. Would a G move be taken into consideration as we have the same duty as MP while not guarding? I didn't think about that yet. I'm unsure. Maybe you can discuss that with your Manticore who does the supervision on you. If they are fine with it, I guess. And after all, it's like you are the one who gets the feedback. And if you aren't able to properly conduct your duties, then you won't get the proper feedback that you want. SPs won't give you any honor, so you only attended for the feedback. So you should really be motivated. And as a side note, notes from the SP won't necessarily be passed on to the high command of Manticore. It's solely for self-improvement. Can I ask a Manticore to conduct an SP on me, or do they have to say they're available for it in on topic, as I've seen a few times before? Originally, we thought of introducing it that anyone could ask Manticore for an SP, but we decided to not do that and instead have Manticore ask for MPs to attend one. Because if we would open it to anyone, Manticores would probably be spammed with SP requests. So unless you're very close with a Manticore, I would say that you should wait and keep an eye out on topic to do an SP. Yeah, is there anything else? If you missed any question that was asked earlier, you can watch in a video which will be published later, taken by the MP engagement team. What made Manticore Command come up with the metal morphs? We wanted a way to recognize very good behavior and contribution to the subdivision. That's why we created a metal morph, obviously inspired by other metal morphs within TNI. But yeah, we've also had quite a lot of requests why Manticore doesn't have a metamorph. And it has been in development for quite a few months now. Or at least been requested since a few months ago. Are all notes from events automatically passed on and stored, or does that apply only to notes that are especially positive or negative? Events like observed patrols, observational trials, and quality assurance trainings, these notes are all locked, no matter if they are positive or negative, or if they have a small or a huge effect. They are all locked, and we can review these at any time. Is progression into the Manticore Officer Core the same as the MP Officer Core? No. Progression within Manticore is entirely handpicked. There's no application or anything. That's for all ranks. It's quite similar, but not really. I don't want to say a lot though about it. Are all Manticore ranks available to receive the Sphinx medal, not including probationary? Yes. All official Manticore, as I like to call them, meaning cadet and above, are able to receive the Sphinx as a medal. Probationary members are not official Manticore and they won't get into the group. Just a little side note. Would previous bad notes reduce the effect of new good notes? Not really. If you've improved from your past mistakes, that's always a good sign. Let's say if you like messed up in one OT and the next 3 OTs you had only good notes, that's very good, and you might even be introduced depending on how good your nodes are and how interested and active you are, many factors. But simply newer things are always better and taken more into consideration than things in the past. This also goes for punishments. If you've been punished like 6 months ago, and you've learned out of your mistake, you maybe even appealed it, then it won't really affect your way into the Manticore subdivision. If you do bad enough in a MOT, is there a possibility of a punishment? No. As long as you don't intentionally break rules or be a nuisance, like tasing for no reason or arresting people, cause havoc, then you won't get a punishment. This goes for all Manticore events because I think I've stated it earlier, Manticore's purpose is to improve MP overall, and we don't intend to punish MPs. Punishment is always a last resort. We want to give feedback to them for improvement, for self-reflection. Yeah, we don't want to punish. But if people really intentionally break rules, then we will punish. Anything else? Trinity has a lot of questions today. If you have a bad enough MP punishment history, can you get blacklisted from the subdivision? No. Blacklists have been removed from almost everything within TNI. Blacklists don't exist anymore, and we don't have any kind of blacklist or grey list within Manticore. We only have those in our heads. Like if we know that person is definitely not fit for Manticore, then we will keep it in our head and make comments should they ever be proposed to enter the subdivision. However, having a lot of punishments can affect your entrance into the subdivision, but it really depends on the punishments, and it depends when they were. It depends if you've learned from them, from your mistakes. It depends on a lot of factors, really, case by case. I guess that's all questions answered. Thank you very much all for listening in. I guess we will do this a few more times in the following months. If you have any questions left that wasn't answered, feel free to ask me in DMs. Yeah, I think that's it. If you've missed any question or answer, you can check out a video which will be released later. Yeah. Bye.